Got to go to somebody else. Mayfield pulls it down now on the run. They're going to make it to the end zone for the touchdown. One now. Chubb, running room to the 10, the 5, touchdown. Third down, Hunt breaks a tackle and he's got a first down. He's still on his feet. Kareem Hunt breaks it towards the end zone and he's in. Surround your hands quickly. Third and goal. The end zone is caught by Njoku.
Welcome, everybody, to the Den of the Dogs podcast. I am your host, Clarence Wilson, and along with me, as always, my co-host, Double R, Ruben Rodriguez. How you feeling, brother?
Doing well, Clarence. How you been, man? It's been a pretty long week. Looks like the weather's starting to turn a little bit, and it's time for the combine. It started yesterday.
Don't put the jinx on the weather.
Oh, yeah.
Don't put the jinx on the weather.
Yeah, it's March in Cleveland, so hey, it's getting there, man. It looks like it's, you know, when you wake up in the 40s in March around here, it's a good sign. Yeah, I'm ready to go, man. I'm ready. The combine started. I'm excited. Football's in the air. Baseball should be, but it's not. But we'll let the kids on there. We'll let the kids from the Guardians take care of
that. Oh man. Well, yes, let's get into it. Combine. I saw they did a lot of interviews with the receivers over the past day.
Yeah.
Was real happy to see my guy that I wanted 13, Treylon Burks, saying the man has to get special gloves made because his hands are so big, and after all the drops we saw last year, I'm loving to hear that, Ruben.
I said last week that he had that Shannon Sharp, those hands of glue, those gigantic hands, and I didn't know they were that big, man. This guy's got like what they say they were like 5XL or something. I don't know.
4X, 5X, something like that.
Yeah,
I'm down for that.
Somebody's gonna get a good player.
I'm hoping it's us. I know a lot of people, our listeners probably are Buckeye fans and probably want, one of Wilson or Olave, but I'm sold on Burks. I like we talked about in the last couple podcasts. It's one of those things where I want the big wide receiver who's fast, who can be our guy and can catch, yes, and who can be our guy for years to come.
Yeah. And I mean, Olave or Wilson, I wouldn't be mad at them if they got it. But
no, not at all.
Yeah, they've got a lot of options.
Absolutely. So, getting into today, is there anything that you're looking for at the combine? I know everybody's going to want to see 40 times, but is there anything else outside of that?
Yeah, I've been at 40 times. It's a race to see who's the fastest guy in the combine, but that doesn't correlate a lot of times to being a football player because you're fast. Look at Schwartz from the Browns. He was one of the fastest guys. His rookie season wasn't a thing of beauty. Injuries had a lot to do with that, and the mental part of the game is also part of it. But it's always fun to see these guys. I like to see the uglies, man, get in there and under 40 times. I like to see the linemen with a 5'7" on 40-yard dash or 5'6". Those are the guys I like to see them huffing and puffing. But it's all part of it. It's just fun to watch. Like I said, you could see guys that the guys that don't go to the Alabamas and the Georgias and the Ohio States and the Notre Dames, and some of those guys, you pluck them lower in the draft, or they may rise. I mean, this is their time to shine. This is when they get to show all 32 teams what they're made out of, and it's actually a treat to watch, man.
Absolutely. I will say, I've been following Brown stuff this week, and I have yet to see any. I listened to the Barry.
Yeah.
Barry speaking.
Yeah.
And Stefanski.
Interesting.
Yeah. Hearing them talk, Stefanski unequivocally stating that Baker is their guy. Yes, I said Baker. I said it this time. Unequivocally saying he's their guy.
Yeah.
But what else is he gonna say at this point?
Mm-hmm.
And then as well as Barry actually coming out and saying that the injuries played a part, which was kind of more than anything, it pissed me off because when it came down to it, it was like, yeah, we all saw this, we all saw the injuries played a part, but nobody wanted to talk about that. But as I said, this is combine speak, so
Yeah. And it's kind of like you got all 32 teams there. You don't want to let anything out. A lot of this stuff is a game of chess. Teams are looking at you by your body language and what you say and thinking, oh, they're going to go after this type of player or this position. But when you start talking about stuff internally that happened to you, and again, I remember 3 podcasts ago, I said that the bone that I had to pick was with, you can't come out and say that this young man's issue was his injuries, but you allowed that to happen. If you knew that at the time, you owed it to the city, to the team, to its fans to shut him down. No matter how you feel about him, shut him down and let the guy who you paid $6 million to be his backup to finish the season. Don't come over here now at the combine and saying, every week you're saying we think he's healthy enough to play. And then come over here at the combine and say injuries played a factor of what happened to him this year. Okay, we all knew that. So, to do what's right for the team. Is it what's good for, for the team or not? I mean, that's what you preach week in and week out. We're going to find the best people who gives the best opportunity to win a game. But now you're going to come on and say that the injuries played a major part on the way he played this year. And ultimately it trickled down to the team. Well, then you should have done something about it. And I you know how I feel, but I just seem nonsensical to me that you're going to say that now or last week after the season finished when you had a chance from week 2 when this happened to do something about it and you didn't do it.
Yep. And the other thing that bothered me too is that they kept, as you said, they kept saying, he looked fine in practice and looked good enough to play. And it's like, well, of course he looks fine in practice. He can't get hit in practice.
Nobody's hitting him, right? I mean, he's going through the motions. He's throwing his passes. He's telling you, oh, I feel great. But what do you expect a guy who has that much fire in him and he wants to be out there? Of course, he's going to tell you, I'm good enough to play. Just strap me up and I'm ready to go. But there comes a time when, you're the general manager of this team or the vice president of football operations, and you're the guy that everybody looks up to, and you got to say, listen, this is my team. I got to do what's best for the team, and we're going to shut you down. We're going to make sure you get healthy. You don't make this thing worse than what it is.
Yep. Because
that labrum turned into a shoulder, turned into a knee, turned into a foot. So now this guy's got multiple injuries, and it was too late to take him out now because that made you look bad.
Yep.
So, yeah, let's just move on from it. I mean, it's done. The kid's supposed to be ahead of schedule.
That's right. I read
rehab.
That.
I heard that too. And let's run it back, man. I mean, what are you going to do? You have you have money. You're going to have money. You're going to have quite a bit of free agent money, but is that the position that you're going to dump all your money on? They have other options. They have other holes in this team to fill. Now Higgins, when I hear today, Higgins isn't coming back. They talked to his agent. They said they don't have any plans on bringing him back. I don't know how many.
Think about the Jarvis talk, the way that they spoke about Jarvis.
Yeah, and to finish on Higgins, I don't know how many people are actually going to go after him because is he going to be that popular or is he going to be that sought after in free agency? Who knows? But the Jarvis thing is, again, they're talking to their agents. They said they're going to talk during the combine. I think there's a 60-40 chance that he stays here. Again, based on what happens in free agency, based on what the conversations they have with his agents, I think there's a good chance he still stays here. But then you have to think of it too. I'm going to give you 2 names: Landry, Hooper, and who's that other guy I had today? There's Landry Hooper and another player that escapes me right now. I had it. I was all ready for this, and I can't think of. Oh, and the linebacker, 51. Darn it.
Mac
Mac
Wilson.
Mac Wilson, Landry, and oh my God, I'm losing it.
That's right. Mac, Landry, and Hooper.
And Hooper. You take those three contracts. So if those guys don't come back, you're up to $61 million in salary cap space. Two of the guys, I don't think most people would have any problem if they don't come back. Landry would be, if you know, a lot of more folks would want Landry back than not want the other two guys back. But think about that for a second. That's $61 million in free agency that they could, or cap money that they could spend. So should they choose to do that, that would include re-signing Njoku for one.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting, man. It's like these are the games, these are the things that us as fans and people who talk about this stuff don't really know what's happening back there. But there's a lot of scenarios that could happen, man. And this is what makes this. We could say how we feel, but we really don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And it could be a very interesting offseason for the Browns. We'll see what happens. They don't need what's the word I'm looking for? They don't need to break the bank with players. Injuries not only affected the quarterback position, but it affected a lot of people. Conklin just got his contract redone, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
We'll see how he does coming back. But it's funny, you had mentioned too that you were going to give Baker another chance for reevaluation because he was what?
Hurt.
Because he was hurt. So we're going to, I don't see anybody with saying anything bad about the Browns giving Conklin another season to reevaluate because he was hurt. So I don't know. Maybe
same thing with Jed.
Jed Willis. Mm-hmm. I think Barry said yesterday he is my left tackle. He spent most of the season what? Hurt. So we're going to evaluate these guys again for another season because they couldn't evaluate them last year like they wanted to because they were hurt. Okay. So now we're not going to do this. So we're not going to give the quarterback any benefit of the doubt. Okay. So let's let this play out, man. You know, Barry's got, I trust him. He's got something in mind. Some of these decisions may not be popular. Whatever happens with Landry will be popular or unpopular if it works out that he's not here anymore. But, you know, he's not going to let that happen unless he has a plan. Something is going to come in. Somebody's will come back in here. When they start OTAs and spring training, the fans aren't going anywhere. So, yeah, well, it's interesting to see what's going to happen. The combine is first and foremost, though. There's a lot of good talent out there. I can't wait to see it.
Do you think, and that's one of the things I like about the combine is it is, you know, you get to see these guys.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's just their athleticism is what you're seeing at that point. You're not seeing them on the field or anything like that, but you're getting to see, you know, how high they run or how high they jump, how fast they run, how far they jump.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys, I'm sure, are going to look awesome. They're going to raise their draft stock,
of course,
just by doing that. As I said, I'm hoping that at 13, the Browns stick with wide receiver, and they also go out and sign another free agent wide receiver as well.
Yeah.
I don't see them getting surrounding our quarterback with two rookies and a couple second-year guys and third-year guys. I don't see that happening. At least I hope not. I think they're smart enough.
And I don't think Barry sees that happening either. Yeah, he knows they got somebody in mind. That a lot of rumors out there with the kid from Ridley, Calvin Ridley, signing here.
I would like him. I would
I'd
like
like-
the kid. I just don't know if he's mentally ready to play.
Maybe you change the scenery. I mean, playing somewhere else. Guys kind of like get that 1 year after they come back and play somewhere else and just go off. Godwin too is another option. Mike Williams, as I mentioned before, is another option. They had this kid Andy Isabella they were talking about today. He's a Cleveland kid.
Yeah, I heard about him today.
He came out today and he's coming. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of options out there. And trust me, they know what's out there. They know what they want. They get paid a whole lot of money for this, Clarence. A lot more than we do for doing this. So again, I have trust, and he hasn't pulled very many. All the triggers he's pulled in. I'm talking about Barry. He's pulled the trigger on a lot of stuff that's come out smelling like a rose. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's very few.
See what happens.
I mean, he's had some misses, but it's also one of those things like you're not going to hit on everybody.
No.
It's just not. It's not going to happen. So
Yeah, if you hit on everybody, then you need to have another title. I don't know what to say. If you hit on everybody, then I don't want to say you wouldn't be a Browns GM anymore. You'd be higher than that. But it's like I said, it's a crapshoot. But you gotta play it smart. You gotta play it close to the vest. You can't listen. You have to know the needs of your team, how to make this team, but you can't listen. You can't keep listening to guys like me and you. You're in that position.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. But you just can't. You can't go by. Listen, you have a plan and you stick to it. And the fans will be fans. I mean, you could do it. Some people are gonna like what you do, and some people are not gonna like what you do. So you just got to get away from all that and do your job. And I trust the man's gonna do that. It's gonna be interesting. When the free agency starts, I think in a week or two, 14, 16, something like that.
Yeah, I believe so.
So, and the tampering period is like right after the combine. They can start talking to folks. The legal tampering period happens. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Next week or 2 or 3, we're going to have a lot to talk about here in the podcast.
Yes. Well, just for anybody looking out for the draft, for the combine tomorrow, I'm looking at the schedule here. They're supposed to get the measurements. Tomorrow's for tight ends, quarterbacks, and wideouts. They're supposed to do measurements, bench press, on-field workouts. For the offensive line, the running backs will they're going to do their media interviews.
Yeah.
And some exams. And then defensive line, linebackers, they're going to do their exams tomorrow and some interviews. And then to the DBs, kickers, they're just kind of getting in there tomorrow to do their thing. So I always like the combine because you always hear some great stories, but you also hear some wild ass stories about the questions that some of these teams ask the players.
Oh yeah, they asked. God, how many? What do you like, Granny Smith apples, or do you like the regular red apples? What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like at 4:00 tomorrow afternoon. I think is the I don't know if it's on NFL Network, but it's the wide receivers when they do their 40-yard dash. God, I think it was 4 years ago, some guy was running. I think they clocked him at 22 miles an hour. Could you imagine a human being running at 22 miles an hour? Forget who school he was from. It's one of those. And I think the kid was in high school or something when they clocked him at 22 miles an hour. So I can imagine what he's going to do tomorrow. Gray, I think it's Danny Gray, went to SMU. So let's keep an eye out for him too. This kid's a speedster. Again, he's a speedster, but what kind of hands does he have?
Can he catch?
Yeah, that's the part. Everybody's like, wow, this guy's faster than Bob Hayes, or he's the fastest human being I've ever seen. But throw him the ball. Let's see what happens. Yeah. Those are the kind of things that and these things to watch are these combines are fun to watch, man. But Again, you'll see the guys who are freaks of nature, doing things that you don't think a human can possibly do. But how does it translate to football? So,
Mhm.
yeah, it's good TV.
Yep.
It sure is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, everybody, make sure you check out the combine. We'll be discussing what we see here over the
Yeah.
next couple of days. We'll be discussing it next week.
We'll be taking
Um,
some notes, that's for sure.
absolutely. Absolutely. Um, next for our final portion of the pod tonight, we're gonna do a little bit of what if.
What if?
What if? Now this is gonna be a segment that we're gonna run. We're tinkering with it still. We're
Yeah.
still tinkering with it, but we're gonna do some what if scenarios.
What if Rob Manfred was the commissioner of football?
There probably wouldn't be no combine today. They'd be fighting. But we're gonna do some scenarios looking back at Brown's history during the off season because we're gonna have stuff to talk about, but we're gonna have some fun.
Yes, a
We're
little
gonna have
something.
some fun.
And again, as we said before, guys, go on our pages. It's believelandmedia.llc. You can find me at Rube_1957, and you can find my man Clarence at.
At Idaho Anthony,
There you go.
and then that's right. And then you can also hit us up on our podcast page at Den of the Dogs.
Yeah, and if you guys got
So-
anything, if you have a what if after this that you think about, it's got something to do with Browns history. It's anything related to Cleveland football, and you guys want us to talk about it, throw it in there. Put it on Twitter or go into our Den of the Dogs page, like Clarence said, and we'll bring it up on the next show. It's not a problem. We'd kind of
Right.
like welcome you guys to do that.
Absolutely. If you guys like what we do, we want to be able to interact with you.
Absolutely. And the day's going to come and we'll be sitting here and we'll be talking from Bruce from Ironton or Mary from Lorraine. They'll be on the air with it. We'll see. We'll get baby steps for us.
All right. Today, like I said, this is something we're gonna tinker with. We're gonna mess with the format a little bit here and there, but today we're gonna start with the greatest what if of all. What if the Browns did not move to Baltimore?
I think about that every time I watch them play. It's like, all the things that could have happened on that fateful day on November 6th, 1995. Yeah, I remember the day.
The day before my birthday.
And, what if, just think about that from what if this team wouldn't have moved?
If they didn't move, and let's just say for the purposes of our exercise here, Art's gone. This is Art. Maybe Art isn't a part of the team, but as far as the rest of the structure that went to Baltimore, such as Ozzie being the general manager, and things like that.
Yeah, think about this. Ozzie Newsome could have most likely been the Cleveland Browns general manager.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What if?
But one of the reasons that he went with Baltimore, Ozzie was a Brown. He always said he was a Brown. But one of the reasons he went to Baltimore is because at that time they weren't giving black people general manager jobs. So that's one of the main reasons that he ended up going to Baltimore.
And I really think too that he did not think until they moved to Baltimore that they were going to relinquish the Browns name. He actually thought that they were going to be called the Baltimore Browns. This is just my opinion. That's why he went with them. Plus, he's probably on a contract and he didn't have any choice. But what if he is our general manager? This team doesn't move. There's another what if. What if the Browns are the team in 1996 that end up with Ray Lewis?
Yes, that inaugural draft, they picked up their had 2 first-round picks.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Ogden,
number
4.
Yep.
And Ray Lewis at 26, and both went on to be damn Hall
of Famers.
Oh.
And here's another what if when it goes to that. What if they don't move? Bill Belichick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because a lot of people think a lot of that rumor, or not that rumor, but that false statement that the Browns fired Bill Belichick still flows
No,
hard today.
Yeah, when he was fired, he was a member of the Baltimore Ravens. He was not a Cleveland Brown when they fired him. So
that's
but it's
right.
easy to say Cleveland fired him because we do everything bad anyways.
Exactly.
But Bill Belichick, who turns out to be the coach that he is, I had people say because he had Tom Brady, whatever. Tom Brady still has to be coached by somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But we have with him. What if we have Belichick and what if we get guys like Jonathan Ogden? Oh, we wouldn't have got 2 first-round picks because Baltimore got him because they moved. But what if Ray Lewis is our middle linebacker for the next, I don't know, 17 seasons?
Yes. And here's the wild thing too. That so the staff, the Baltimore Ravens staff, that first year. So obviously Art was the owner. Ozzie was the director of football operations.
Yeah.
Director of college scouting, Phil Savage, who ended up coming back to the Browns.
Who came back here? Yeah, so to be the general manager.
Yep, their pro personnel coordinator was Scott Pioli, who I know was in New England for a while. Their offensive coaches, well, their head coach at the time after they got rid of Bill was Mark Broda. His assistant head coach on the offense was Kirk Ferentz, who ended up going to Iowa.
Kirk Ferentz went to Iowa, yep, and part of the coaching tree with Saban too.
Yes, their offensive coaches, Don Strock,
I remember,
was the quarterback's coach.
Yeah.
Their quality control offense was Eric Mangini, the guy who ended up coming back
here
after coaching the Jets. Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting name on the defensive side is their defensive coordinator was Marvin Lewis, who parlayed that into the Bengals job.
Then he went to the Bengals. Yeah. It was just so many what ifs. That's the biggest thing that I think of is what this franchise would have been like if they would not have left. I mean, if Modell would have come to his senses, he was told, we could make a we can make this new stadium. We can make a multi-use stadium. Yeah. Where you could share it with the Indians. He didn't want any part of that. He was said, I'm sharing municipal stadium with the Indians. And what if, and here's another what if as far as that goes, what if we had a mayor that cared about the professional football team here? He would have never allowed this to happen. And you couldn't say that you had other things on your mind. I mean, it was right there in front of you. This Modell threat was going on for quite some time to leave. And, you didn't take it seriously. And he just did what he felt he had to do. I mean, what if we had the leadership here in this town that could have saved this team? Because we haven't recovered from that yet, man.
No.
This is 1995. This city and this football team has not recovered from this yet. It's just a mess. I don't say it's a mess, but this will never go away. The Baltimore thrived.
Yeah.
It didn't take them 4 seasons before they made it to the Super Bowl. They, this city and this town, this fan base, we haven't gotten off of this yet. And I don't think we ever will, man. We just, it's a hard thing. The Raiders, I think the Raiders did it a couple of times, but they always kept back. The Raiders would leave, they'd come back to Oakland. They went to LA, they went to Oakland, back to Oakland again. So I don't want to compare that because we just lost it here. The whole team left, everything left. The name stayed, but all the players were gone. They were associated. Ernest Biner was associated with the Baltimore Ravens. Imagine that. Ozzie Newsome is a Baltimore. He's probably going to go on when I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame or but did he go in as a Raven or a Brown?
You better go in as a Brown. But
that's what I'm saying. But he's going to be Ozzie Newsome, the great, the venerable Super Bowl winning general manager with the Baltimore Ravens. He didn't play with Baltimore. He came from here. That's the kind of stuff that we're never going to get over.
Well, I think it's one of those things that like it winning cures all.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is we haven't done enough winning since they've been back.
And
So,
you know, and then it just lingers.
painful.
Yeah, and it just lingers. It just lingers. It's like, what if? It's like, what if? What if this dude wouldn't have moved this team? What would be our fortunes right now? How would this team have gone on? Because they weren't a bad team. They made the playoffs here before they left. And you know, would Ray Lewis have fallen to us at 26? Or would we have gotten Jonathan Ogden but not Ray Lewis? Or we would have, I forget where we finished, because the writing was on the wall. Because if you look at the 1994 draft, I think that was the draft where we were number 10, traded to like 22, or then traded to 30, and somehow made it back, or traded to 22, then traded to 30, I think, and somehow made it back into the first round, and then traded out of that again, and ended up with a guy named Eric Zaire, quarterback.
Oh, yes.
And something was just funky. We didn't think of it at the time. You know, we don't know why that was happening. And, you know, blaming, oh, what's he doing? He's on, but I guess it sounds to me like the writing was on the wall, because the less payroll you have on your team, the better it is to move it or sell it or trade it or whatever. And that's exactly what he did, man. He traded that number one pick for that year, and he got the extra pick that for the next year, knowing that it wasn't going to be in Cleveland anymore. Because at the end of that 95 season, before the end of the season in 95, in November is when they made the announcement. So they played, 6 or 7 lame duck games. So he knew that the next draft, he was going to get those 2 first-round picks. And they weren't going to be here. Because you don't move a team to Baltimore or any place overnight. Clarence, this is something you had to. Yeah, you're not going to wake up Monday morning and say my team stinks, I'm moving them.
Yep, I'm gone. I'll see you guys, and then it's over.
This is something that probably years in the making that we'll never know. I mean, Art wasn't going to tell anybody before he passed. He wasn't going to tell anybody what happened. The people in Baltimore aren't going to tell anybody how they obtained the team. That nobody's going to say anything. But it just seemed kind of spooky to me that all of a sudden he traded all these draft picks and ended up getting 2 picks in the 95 draft. Then all of a sudden that he knew in his soul, he knew he was going to be making those picks in Baltimore.
And I feel like you brought up the name Eric Zaire, and I feel like that was like that was almost the kickoff to the quarterback carousel that started here in Cleveland.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I remember them drafting him and being like, okay, maybe
a big school. Seems to, he's one of the name brand guys. You'd heard of this guy before. And he never panned out, even after.
Just because you hear about somebody doesn't mean he's good, Clarence.
Exactly. But you know what? One of my things is you become a name brand guy by what you play on the field.
Yeah.
You become a name brand guy by your play on the field. So, at that point, the Browns had been taking all kinds of different quarterbacks and whatnot. And that was basically after Bernie was gone.
Right.
That's kind of when this whole sell just, yes.
So everybody talks about our situation at quarterback now, but we have seen, and I don't want to cuss, we have seen some stuff here in Cleveland, man. So I'll say
we've seen some shit.
Yeah, I don't pay it no mind, man. I told, because I know what I've seen, and what I have seen was not the promised land.
No.
All right, brother.
All right, well, that's our little look back on just some what if questions.
That was a good one. There'll be some more soon. Like I said, if anybody else has any ideas, what if, hit us up, man. Let us know. We'll put it on the air for you.
Absolutely. Well, I guess we're gonna end it for today. We're gonna let it breathe, and everybody make sure to check out the combine. We're gonna be watching as well, and we'll be back with you guys for next week.
Absolutely, we'll take some notes and we'll get some feedback from everybody possible, and and we'll be back at it next week and see what we got. Any results from it? Anything we saw that popped our eyes? Give us a look at maybe some players that we had we didn't think about, or that we just forgot about, and see how they do. It's going to be to see how the Browns end up. By this time next week is going to be the 8th, so we'll be about a week ahead of free agency too. So that'll be interesting too. That'll be a lot of talk about who they're talking to, all speculation. And yeah, we'll take care of that next week for you guys. Listen up. Go to our page at BelieveLandMediaLLC.com. The sponsorship opportunities are available. I keep bringing this up. You guys want to be a part of this? We have all of our podcasts, Guardians of the CLE. We got now with a couple of days ago, I think, Clarence, the wrestling one came on.
Well, yes, the wrestling one's about to be out. The Pile Driver, I believe it's
Pile
called.
Driver. The Pile Driver. There's
that podcast.
All Things Cavalier with Brandon and the boys. There's plenty of, if you want to be a part of the team, get a hold of Kevin Sleds, our boss, and his information's in there to contact him. There's some packages, very affordable packages for everybody to be a part of this. So we'd like to have you on board.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Ruben, you got anything else for the people tonight?
The only thing I got, and like I say it every night before we leave, in the words of the immortal Freddie Kitchens, Clarence,
if you do not wear brown and orange, you don't matter. Have a good night, y'all.
Peace, everybody. Peace.